Welcome back to some more living and our 5-week journey that leads us to our third stop, which is the Blue Water RV Resort in Dayton, Tennessee. The drive was a 271-mile drive, stopping at Loretta Lynn's Kitchen for breakfast and then again for a gas stop in Millsboro. Typically, we try to drive about 2 to 2.5 hours before we stop for either breakfast or lunch, depending on when we get started, and then again an hour after that for a fuel stop and bathroom break. And anyway, it took us down through Chattanooga, then we went north to Dayton, and the drive was absolutely beautiful. You could really tell that you had hit the Smoky Mountains, and you could see the rocky ledges. It was a little bit windy, but because we stayed primarily on 4-lane highways, it was a pretty easy drive. We stayed at the Blue Water Resort, which is on Lake Chickamauga, just a little bit outside of Dayton, Tennessee. It was a nice little RV resort. It also had some long-term spots as well as lodge and cabins. We stayed in site number 1, which was just next to the general store. Initially, I was a little disappointed that we were so close to the general store. There you can see right out our doors, the general store. But it ended up being a blessing in disguise because while Mitch was at his fishing tournament that week, I was able to work from the RV and had incredible Wi-Fi speeds. So anyway, site number 1, it was a very nice site. Just like all RV parks and resorts, though, they're very close to your neighbors, but they were very nice, full hookups, and with a table. Okay, I'm not going to lie. This was the view from my desk where I was working, and so it was a gorgeous view. I'm not going to kid anyone that it wasn't a delight to work with that view. Also, while we were there, there was a couple of tournaments that had over 200 boats that went out. So starting at about 7 in the morning, and it took them till about 8:30 in the morning to get all the boats. They were timed released, and they'd stand there at the end of that dock with a big bullhorn and yell out the numbers. So many mornings I got woken up by the bullhorn of them yelling out numbers of boats. But it was kind of interesting to watch and fascinating to see all the boats come out and then trickle back in between 3:30 and 5 every day. So in the general store was the bathhouses and the laundry. Right there's the laundry. And then behind the general store was this nice patio. This is where Mitch and them weighed in their fish every afternoon. So it was right by the boat dock. There's the boat dock, the boat ramp, and it wasn't a very big parking lot for boats, but it worked. They also rented kayaks if you wanted to rent a kayak or paddle boards as well. You could buy firewood at the camp store. And then propane, you could exchange your propane tanks if you wanted to. They also had ice, and the laundry facilities, it was on the honor system, and there was normally a key hanging there on that screw there. But anyway, you got 4 hours of laundry for $8, which wasn't too bad. And there again, you see our site, and you can see how close all the other sites are. And another, the marina out there. These rocking chairs were amazing. You could just sit there and watch the boats come in and out. There you see all the boats lining up for one of those big tournaments, and then there were tables that you could sit at as well. So it was a cute little camp store. And then also the bathrooms were very nice, very clean. They would give you a code to get into those so that only those that were actually camping there would could get in. And they were always, anytime I went in there, they were always very clean. There was a couple of bathroom stalls and a couple of showers that had their own doors and a little changing area to get to those, and then your mirror and sinks and everything. So it was a very nice bathhouse. They also had a dog park, which was nice. It wasn't real big, but certainly it was better than nothing to let your dogs get out and run around. The porch on, like I said, it was one of my favorite places to sit and watch the boats and watch the water. Mitch ended the tournament on a good note, getting big bass on Friday. There's his big fish that won him the plaque for big bass. And then, of course, the sunsets there were absolutely gorgeous. So on Saturday, Mitch and I drove into Chattanooga to Rock City. Um, it was a park that had a bunch of rock formations, natural rock formations, as well as some that they had probably built the bridges and outcrops and stuff. But and then beautiful gardens. And so um, the park was developed by Garnet and Frida Carter. It opened to the public in 1932, but she loved to garden and collect gnomes. And so, what we didn't realize while we were there was that many of the gnomes that are in the park, and you'll see the fairylands and the gnomes all over the park, were original to when she collected those. So anyway, it was gorgeous. The water features were absolutely beautiful. It was a little pricey. I'm thinking it was like 20 something dollars a person, but I, for one, think it was worth it. And Mitch actually even enjoyed it as well. The views from there, they say you can see 7 states from the views. I'm not sure if that's true, but certainly I think you could see at least, 3 or 4 states from the top. It was on the top of a lookout mountain. So anyway, it was very pretty. Definitely would recommend the stop if you get to Chattanooga. Our next stop in Chattanooga was Point Park. It's a national park. The entrance fee was like $10. It was not very expensive. And luckily, just as we got there, the park ranger was giving the talk about the park. But anyway, it was the battleground for the Chickamauga battle between the Union and Confederate. And we didn't realize, but the Tennessee River was a main river that the Confederates used to get their supplies. We called the Cracker Line. Anyway, it was important that the Union win that battle in order to secure their Cracker Line that would take them down to New Orleans and further south. So anyway, that battle lasted from September until the end of November, when the Union finally took over Chattanooga and the Confederates battle line. But it was a gorgeous park, again, beautiful views, and a amazing view of the Tennessee River. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for stop number 4 to the beautiful Charleston, South Carolina.